Important? Feels important? Does it necessarily mean that it is important? More about that right after the intro. Welcome to the Day One Journey, episode 181. Ching. Yeah! Well, what's the difference between feels important and is important? Well, let's dive into an example. I will show you a personal example just about that. Well, a few weeks ago, I found myself in an argument with a friend about a certain psychic, a certain mentalist, and we were arguing about if it's possible to read someone's mind, if some people has these skills of reading someone else's mind. So at first we had this discussion, we just talked about that, and then slowly and gradually it became an argument. And as I stepped into this argument, it felt more and more important for me to prove my point, to get my point across. And I found myself in these arguments like getting drawn inside and again trying to prove my point, trying to show him that I'm right and he might be wrong, and it felt important. But then this is exactly the example. It felt important, but was it really important for me? So in the middle of the argument, I was like stopping myself and trying to see if it's important to me or not. I tried to see if the fact that it feels important necessarily means that it is important. Well, how do I do that? I go back to my priorities. This is what this series is about. The priorities series. I go back and check in with my priorities. So I was in that argument and I wanted to be right. But being right is not even in the list. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it feels good to be right, but it's not in my top 10 priorities. And more than that, in this specific case, I had at least three very big values that were more important. So I was there in the discussion, in the argument, trying to prove my point, trying to be right. But I realized I have other commitments for myself that I want to do. Commitment, the second value. That's one thing. Another value is power and energy. I didn't tell you yet what number is it, but it is one of my top 10. And it's energy. Why am I wasting energy here? I hardly evaluate my energy, my power. I don't want to waste it on anything. And the third value here that was more important to me than being right in that specific argument is making a difference. Because when I thought, okay, even if I'll convince him that what I think about this specific thing, about reading someone else's mind, whether I convince him that my opinion is closer to the truth, will that make a difference in his life? Will that make his life better? When I answer this question honestly, it just won't. So again, I'm in this argument about whether people can read your mind or not, and I want to be right. It feels important. As deep as I go into that specific argument, it feels more and more important. But when I stop myself and revisit my priorities, I realize it is not that important. And I have other values much above that, much more important than that. I have other commitments. I value my energy and my power more than being dragged and wasting my energy in these arguments. And also, I'm not really making any difference. The fact that he will agree with my opinion won't make a real difference in his life, in my life, in the world. It won't make a difference, really. So this is just my example, my personal example. When it feels good, it feels important, it doesn't necessarily mean it is important. And this is my message for you for the day. How do I do that? How do I understand if it is important? I revisit my priorities. I revisit my values. And if I don't have them, I continue the journey as I'm sharing with you in these episodes to understand and to know my values. This is my message for you for the day. So back to you. I have an interesting assignment for you for the day. Next time you find yourself in a certain argument, try to ask yourself, maybe it feels important to you because you want to be right, but is it really important to you? Do you have other things more important than that? Raise that level of awareness about your values, what's really important to you, and maybe consider just stopping the argument and move on and to do the stuff that are really important for you. Do that today, and of course, have an amazing day one. See you tomorrow.